harness the power of cognitive behavioral therapy to conquer anxiety, depression, and panic attacks for lasting change. In this book, Eric Holt presents powerful techniques rooted in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to help you break free from the grip of anxiety, depression, and panic.
Hello, this is Eric Holt, and you are listening to Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. Conquer anxiety, depression, and panic attacks with easy CBT techniques to boost your emotional intelligence, eliminate intrusive thoughts, and rewire your brain. Provided to you by United Audiobooks. I hope you enjoy my audiobook. Now, let us begin.
Introduction. If you've come across this book, you've probably been up against a difficulty of some kind. Cognitive behavioral therapy might be the solution you've been looking for, whether the issue is an emotional one, like generalized anxiety, a behavioral one, like avoiding crucial responsibilities, or a cognitive one, like misguided or self-limiting thinking. People who receive cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, can develop the skills to deal with life's difficulties. CBT, the most effective treatment for a wide range of issues, including anxiety, depression, OCD, anger, phobias, eating disorders, substance addiction, assertiveness, shame, avoidance, procrastination, and relationship issues, has been demonstrated by an overwhelming body of research over the past 2 decades. CBT helps patients maintain their health long after therapy because it teaches them how to solve their problems by learning and using new skills. Even if you have no background in psychology, there's a good chance you've heard of cognitive behavioral therapy. It is a very popular form of talk therapy that is practiced all around the world. CBT is probably something you've experienced if you've ever spoken with a mental health therapist, a counselor, or a psychiatry practitioner in a formal environment. You've probably heard about the effects of CBT if you've ever heard friends or family members describe how a mental health professional helped them identify unhelpful thoughts, patterns, and behaviors and helped them change them so they could more successfully work toward their goals. CBT is one of the methods in the psychologist's toolkit that is most often used. Although it is founded on simple concepts, it can provide incredibly favorable results when put into practice. This book will examine CBT, how it works, and how you may use its principles to enhance your life. Introduction to Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT. CBT, often known as cognitive behavioral therapy, is a powerful method of talk therapy. You can control your emotions, urges, and fears using CBT. Negative behavior can therefore become better. However, not all therapies are equivalent or focused on the same outcomes or objectives. For instance, whereas immersion therapy intends to change or eliminate a specific fear quickly, talk therapy can help work through long-term issues or anxieties. But how can you choose the best therapy for you or your family? What matters is what your goals are. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, can be ideal for you if you're looking for a shorter-term, solution-focused therapy to change or improve undesirable habits and cognitive patterns. Because anxiety, depression, and autism often coexist, CBT helps reduce common symptoms such as tantrums, outbursts, obsessions, and distractions, all the while giving you the confidence, attitude, and less anxious existence you need. What is cognitive behavioral therapy? Do you often feel anxious and worried? Do you experience stress, hopelessness, or difficulty restraining intrusive thoughts? Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or talk therapy examines the connection between your feelings, thoughts, and behavior. The fundamental goal of CBT is to make you more conscious of your negative thinking so you can react to situations more skillfully. CBT is delivered through a series of sessions with a mental health practitioner. The goal is to provide resources that can be applied to address unhealthy thought and behavior patterns and lessen discomfort. CBT can be beneficial in the treatment of many various conditions, such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, substance misuse, and eating disorders. Additionally, it can help overcome emotional trauma, manage a chronic condition's physical symptoms, cope with grief and loss, and overcome stressful situations in daily life. If medication is not the best option, CBT may be suggested alone or with other therapies and behavioral modifications. The hardest aspect of change is often taking the first step. If you're on the fence about trying CBT, remember it's a quick fix with few risks or side effects. CBT can be given in person, one-on-one, or in groups with relatives or other individuals experiencing related issues. Online counseling sessions have grown in popularity, especially during the pandemic, and can be a great alternative if you don't have access to nearby mental health facilities or prefer to discuss in private at home. How CBT works. As the name suggests, cognitive behavioral therapy is built on the concepts of thinking, cognition, and behaviors. The CBT's cognitive aspect. The cognitive aspect relates to our thoughts and how they are processed. This comprises underlying assumptions, harmful automatic thinking, and core beliefs. Negative core beliefs are generally founded on childhood events and are learned early in life. For instance, you may have developed unfavorable opinions of yourself, the environment, or your outlook on the future. You could also have negative core beliefs about other people, such as thinking they are never to be trusted or always acting dishonestly. The notion that you are somehow inadequate or that my worth is connected with what others think of me are examples of dysfunctional false beliefs about yourself. One of the main cognitive components of CBT involves increasing awareness of these viewpoints and how your thinking is founded on long-standing, unfavorable preconceptions. Your therapist might advise the following to achieve this. Identifying negative thought patterns that might not be real by keeping a thought journal. You may believe things like, nobody cares about me, or if I don't do well, it means I'm a failure. As you become more conscious of these negative beliefs, you can learn to reframe or replace them with more optimistic views, like, nobody is perfect. Reframing your thinking can also teach you to see issues as challenges, rather than concentrating on them and feeling overwhelmed. After all, we all make mistakes, so it doesn't make you a failure. Role-playing. Your therapist might assume a different persona to role-play in anxiety-inducing circumstance. For instance, if you're afraid of going to the doctor for a checkup, the therapist will play the part of the doctor and act out the scenario with you. This will eventually help you gain confidence and determine the best action to take in similar circumstances. You'll have a less stressful encounter the next time you visit your doctor because you've previously resolved the problems causing you to feel anxious or fearful. The CBT's behavioral aspect. The behavioral aspect of CBT is most often applied to anxiety-related disorders. This typically entails scheduled activities. Developing a daily plan can make it appear more manageable, make better decisions, and feel less anxious. You can improve your mood and attitude by scheduling things you enjoy, whether going for a leisurely walk, joining a neighborhood club, hanging out with friends, or visiting a museum. Graded task assignments can lessen procrastination and indifference and get through anxiety-inducing circumstances. The first step can be choosing which friend to go with if you're planning an outing with friends to see a movie but are feeling apprehensive or sad. The next action could be calling your friend and selecting a movie to view. The final action would be to follow through and take your friend to the theater. Testing out predictions that make you nervous. These kinds of tasks are gradually introduced so that you can eventually learn to cope with worry. For instance, if you're afraid to leave the house, you might be advised to stroll down the street and see whether anything unpleasant happens. This method can help address avoidance habits that keep you from confronting your anxieties. To reduce anxiety or stop a panic attack, learning relaxation and breathing techniques can be quite helpful. Deep breathing exercises and mindfulness meditation are powerful tools for reducing stress, concentrating on the here and now, and disengaging from intrusive or unfavorable thoughts. When you're feeling nervous, your therapist can advise using relaxation techniques or guided meditation. What can CBT help with? CBT has been successfully used to treat a variety of mental health issues. The following are a few of the most typical conditions it is used to treat. Depression. CBT was first created to treat depression and is still one of the most popular therapies for the illness today. Computerized CBT has also been developed for people with depression to treat themselves at home. The treatment process enables the identification of any depressive thoughts and their replacement with more correct, sensible ones. Additionally, it helps identify any behavioral adjustments that can elevate your mood. For instance, people with depression often struggle to get out of bed in the morning and withdraw from friends, family, and past interests. With the aid of CBT, you can progressively improve these aspects of your life in a way that seems doable. Anxiety. CBT is one of the best types of therapy for anxiety. Numerous forms of anxiety, including phobias, social anxiety, and panic disorder, can be treated with it. The thought-challenging component of CBT is essential for treating anxiety because cognitive distortions, such as catastrophizing or focusing on the worst-case scenario, are often to blame for the increased sense of anxiety. Gradual exposure, or progressively confronting your concerns rather than avoiding them, is a common part of the behavioral component of CBT for anxiety. Gradual exposure helps you to control and lessen your fear at each stage. This is a feature of CBT for anxiety that is quite successful. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. CBT is one of the main OCD therapy modalities that is advocated. Understanding what motivates your unwanted, intrusive thoughts and routines will help you learn to respond differently in therapy, which will eventually lead to a decrease in their frequency. People with OCD can benefit from CBT by challenging their behavior and understanding the thoughts fueling compulsive behavior. It poses the questions: what would happen if you didn't give in to your urges? Your CBT therapist could gradually push you to question this concern. For instance, if fear of contamination causes your OCD. This can entail gradually touching contaminated items without immediately washing your hands. Repeated exposure lessens symptoms over time. Mood disorders. Different forms of CBT are used for many eating disorders and are effective treatments for different disorders. It is typically the first line of treatment for binge eating disorder and bulimia nervosa, since it is one of the most successful methods for treating these disorders. Treating anorexia nervosa typically takes a multidisciplinary approach and is more complex. However, CBT is among the most frequently advised forms of treatment and plays a significant role. Schizophrenia. Psychosis, which involves delusions or hearing voices, is often experienced by people with schizophrenia. These symptoms can be very stressful, since stress has been shown to exacerbate schizophrenia symptoms. CBT can break this vicious cycle, helping patients manage their signs and improve their quality of life, particularly when utilized soon after an accurate diagnosis. What are the benefits of CBT? When we talk about treating mental health disorders, CBT has several advantages over other types of therapy. It offers people hope for their situation. Due to the nature of mental health problems, victims often have negative views about the future. It can be hard to envision a future in which your sickness won't affect you. CBT changes this by giving them hope. It accomplishes this by enabling individuals to recognize how fallible our thoughts can be. They often don't correspond to what's likely to occur in actuality. We can develop our minds to consider new options when we learn to challenge our thoughts. There is potential for drastically varied outcomes in life. It helps in elevating one's sense of worth. Low self-esteem is connected to several mental health problems. This reinforces the vicious cycle in which negative ideas affect behavior, and vice versa. However, CBT can break this pattern and give you more self-confidence. Your entire belief system changes as you begin to comprehend how your thoughts work and how you may influence them. This also applies to how you see yourself. It can help with relaxation. The behavioral component of CBT teaches us how to manage our reactions to our symptoms. This often entails employing a range of relaxation techniques to train calmer reactions. By doing so, we can control how we react to stimuli and lessen symptoms. It cultivates more logical mental patterns. Gaining control over our thoughts is the major benefit of CBT. Cognitive distortions are common and often occur naturally and without conscious thought. Our cognitive processes might change if we challenge and replace negative thoughts. You can think clearly and assess the best course of action in challenging circumstances, since you no longer allow negative thoughts to rule your mind. To sum up, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is an incredibly beneficial talking therapy. It may not be appropriate for everyone, or require further therapy treatments for the greatest outcomes, but it's often a good place to start. Unraveling anxiety disorders. We have all faced some type of worry or anxiety, whether it was butterflies in the stomach or the "I'm going to puke" panic before giving a presentation in front of the class. Here, we'll talk about anxiety, its origin, and how CBT can help you manage your symptoms. What is anxiety? Anxiety is only the body's stress response. Your brain works non-stop to keep you alive and safe. It is constantly and unconsciously searching your surroundings for dangers. It will compare the present and the past in search of evidence that it might pose a threat. Your brain should be taking care of things like this for you. The issue is that sometimes your brain makes the proper decision, and at other times it doesn't. Anxiety is only the body's reaction to a perceived or actual threat. Anxiety comes in various forms, from mild apprehension or worries to crippling panic episodes. Understanding the various anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders come in various forms. Generalized anxiety disorder. The excessive amount of constant worry that interferes with daily activities is a symptom of generalized anxiety disorder. Physical signs like agitation, a tense or quickly exhausted sensation, trouble concentrating, muscle tension, or difficulty sleeping may also be present along with this persistent concern and tension. Worries often center on routine issues like work obligations, family health, or unimportant things like chores, auto maintenance, or appointments. Panic disorder. Recurrent panic episodes, a crippling psychological and physical discomfort complication, are the primary symptoms of panic disorder. When an attack is occurring, several of these signs coexist. Palpitations, a pounding heart or a rapid heartbeat, sweating, trembling or shaking, a feeling of being out of breath or being choked, chest pain, feeling faint or dizzy, hot flashes, nausea or abdominal pains, feeling detached, a fear of losing control, a fear of dying, etc. Some people with panic attacks could mistake them for a heart attack or another serious illness because the symptoms can be intense. They might visit a hospital's emergency room. Panic attacks can be anticipated, such as a reaction to a feared object, or unanticipated, appearing to happen for no apparent cause. Panic disorder typically manifests between the ages of 20 and 24. Panic episodes can coexist with other mental illnesses like depression or PTSD. Phobias, specific phobias. Specific phobia refers to an overwhelming and ongoing fear of a particular thing, circumstance, or activity that is typically not harmful. Patients are aware of their devastating fear, but cannot get over it. Some people may try to escape their anxieties because they are so distressing. Examples include the fear of public speaking, flying, or spiders. Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is the fear of being in circumstances where leaving would be awkward or difficult, or getting help might be difficult in the event of panic attacks. The worry is excessive compared to the situation, lasts a minimum of 6 months, and interferes with daily functioning. Using public transit, being in open areas, being in confined spaces, waiting in line, or being in a crowd, or going outside alone are all situations where an individual with agoraphobia experiences this fear. The person actively avoids, needs company, or endures the encounter while experiencing great fear or anxiety. An individual may no longer be able to leave the house if agoraphobia is left untreated. If the fear significantly interferes with everyday activities or is extremely upsetting, a person may be diagnosed with agoraphobia. Social phobia, often known as a social anxiety disorder. An individual with a social anxiety disorder experiences intense worry and discomfort around others and risks being rejected, looked down upon, or embarrassed. Individuals with this condition will try to avoid or deal with the circumstance anxiously. Extreme phobias of public speaking, meeting new people, or eating or drinking in front of others are typical examples. The worry or anxiety lasts for at least 6 months and interferes with daily functioning. Separation anxiety disorder. An individual with a separation anxiety disorder has excessive anxiety or worries about being separated from people to whom they are attached. The emotion remains for at least 4 weeks in children, and 6 months in adults goes beyond what is reasonable for the person's age and interferes with daily functioning. Someone who suffers from separation anxiety disorder might constantly worry about losing the person they care about the most, be reluctant to leave the house, or refuse to spend the night apart from them, or even experience nightmares about being separated. Although physical signs of discomfort often appear in childhood, symptoms can persist throughout maturity. Selective mutism. Although they talk in other situations, children with selective mutism do not communicate in specific social settings where it is expected that they do, such as school. They will talk while their family is present at home, but they often keep quiet when others, like close friends or grandparents, are there. Although children with this disorder occasionally use non-spoken or non-verbal ways, e.g., grunting, pointing, writing, the lack of speech may hinder social communication. In addition to hurting communication skills, silence can cause social isolation and intellectual difficulties in the classroom. Numerous kids with selective mutism also have significant social anxiety, social shame, fear, and excessive shyness. However, they often possess typical verbal abilities. Usually starting before age 5, selective mutism may not be properly recognized until the child starts school. Selective mutism is a condition that many kids outgrow. Selective mutism in kids with social anxiety disorder may go away, but the symptoms of social anxiety disorder may still be present. Identifying the root causes of anxiety. Anxiety affects people differently, and its origins can be difficult to understand. There is a complicated and reciprocal relationship between anxiety and all environmental and social elements. Environmental and social factors can influence how well we interact with others and play a role in the onset and maintenance of anxiety. Gender can also factor in these social and environmental elements, including childhood trauma, social isolation, traumatic life events, stress from work or school, physical or mental health issues, and social and societal pressures. Anxiety is approximately twice as common in women as it is in men. According to other studies, women are more likely than men to be subjected to physical and psychological abuse, and violence has been associated with the emergence of anxiety disorders. Social isolation. Comparatively to individuals who report having positive social ties, people who experience social isolation or loneliness often have fewer or lower quality social contacts. Social isolation can make it challenging to strike up conversations with people, which often results in emotions of rejection and insecurity. Similar to how loneliness can increase anxiety, it can also result in low self-esteem and feelings of inadequacy. Although loneliness can affect everyone, certain risk factors enhance our likelihood of experiencing intense and long-lasting loneliness, which can sometimes make us more anxious and harm our mental health. These include having a long-term health condition or impairment, being unmarried, jobless, living alone, being between the ages of 16 and 24, being a caretaker, being from a minority ethnic group, being LGBTQ+, etc. Traumatized childhood. The repercussions of childhood trauma, such as physical, emotional, or sexual abuse or neglect, can last a lifetime. People who experience trauma as children are more likely to have anxiety. This might result from modifications in brain development that impact memory, mood control, and our ability to fight or flight. Negative thoughts about oneself or the world arising from childhood trauma can make it more difficult to handle stressful situations and increase the risk of anxiety. Traumatic experiences. Unpleasant experiences in life can also exacerbate anxiety. These things upset our sense of security or well-being and have a big emotional impact on us. A car accident, physical assault, or other traumatic events are examples of negative life events that, for some people, can cause anxiety. Job insecurity or an excessive workload can also raise anxiety levels. Divorce or the end of a significant relationship is another negative life event that can cause anxiety. Societal pressure. People pressured to conform to societal or cultural expectations, standards, or norms may experience stress or anxiety. For instance, idealizing a perfect body can cause concern about one's looks and dissatisfaction. Anxiety about performance and a fear of failure can also result from pressure to succeed, get good grades, or flourish in your work. Inability to obtain services and resources for mental health. Various circumstances can cause unequal access to resources and support for mental health. Waiting times, transportation, education and literacy, language or cultural hurdles, stigma, and discrimination are a few prevalent obstacles. When a person can't get the appropriate help when they need it, their anxiety may get worse. The CBT approach to managing and overcoming anxiety. After identifying harmful thought and behavior patterns, CBT therapy will concentrate on imparting knowledge to enable patients to replace these patterns with new, more beneficial ones. The primary focus of CBT therapy is usually finding solutions, and the therapist collaborates closely with the client to do this. Here are a few typical CBT methods for treating anxiety symptoms. Psychoeducation for anxiety. CBT will offer psychoeducation to the client regarding their specific anxiety issue, how symptoms arise, how they are perpetuated, and the suggested course of action for any disorder. Depending on the complexity of the circumstance and the patient's understanding of their fear, this treatment stage may require a few minutes or sessions. Pattern recognition. CBT therapy aims to improve functioning while reducing symptoms by changing thought and behavior patterns. Early treatment often focuses on helping clients identify these patterns and determine how to stop them before they become troublesome to support achieving that objective. Assignments for CBT pattern monitoring often urge clients to keep a journal of their thoughts they have during the day, particularly when they feel stressed or anxious. For example, any what-if thoughts that make them feel more anxious. Their feelings and how intense those feelings are. For example, mild apprehension versus total panic. When feeling nervous, one's actions and reactions, as well as any negative or positive results that may follow. For example, observing that avoidance reduces anxiety in the short term, however, raises anxiety in the long run. Conditions, either internal or external, that elicit particular thoughts, feelings, and actions, such as anxiousness brought on by particular social situations or when contemplating the unknowable. Thought stopping. Once clients know their patterns, CBT therapists can teach them particular techniques to break up and replace some behaviors. Many CBT techniques concentrate on helping clients interrupt troublesome cognitive patterns, but some also concentrate on helping clients interrupt unhelpful behavioral habits. Once these patterns are disrupted, the client learns how to replace them with more advantageous ones. The ability to stop thoughts entails giving them a verbal or visual mental command to halt whenever unproductive ones arise. Someone can use the word stop or no, or they may visualize the image of a stop sign when they relive a humiliating incident or worry about something that hasn't yet happened. Reframing thoughts. Reframing is a skill that entails stopping an unproductive thought and attempting to reframe it more beneficially. For instance, a person can reframe a worry about an impending doctor's appointment by considering how it might improve their health. Reframing can help people change their thinking to feel less anxious and respond more effectively when a person's thinking has become overly emotional. Reframing aids in reintroducing more logical thought habits. Those who struggle with their self-esteem can benefit from reframing their thoughts. When undergoing this approach, the subject questions a certain self-perception to determine whether it is accurate. Challenging thoughts. By listing evidence that the thought is true or false, or evaluating plausible alternative explanations, one can challenge a thought to see if it is accurate. Challenging anxious thoughts might help lessen anxiety and unreasonable and impulsive judgments in times of stress or worry. For instance, one typical CBT technique for addressing illogical thinking is to list the facts supporting and refuting a certain notion or assumption. This ability can help people recognize when their thoughts may be skewed due to their fear, as opposed to accepting them as fact. Exposure tasks. Exposure tasks are often advised to limit avoidance, reduce anxiety, and boost confidence in anxious people, since they tend to avoid situations that make them uneasy. Exposure exercises entail gradually exposing oneself to dreaded circumstances and progressing to more deeply feared and avoided circumstances. For instance, a person who is averse to public speaking can begin by rehearsing in front of 1 or 2 friends before moving on to a small group at work. To help their clients get ready for these exposures, CBT therapists often teach their patients relaxation techniques like deep breathing or muscular relaxation. Exposures give people the confidence to face their anxieties and the tools to do so while improving their anxiety management techniques. Solving issues. When solving a problem, clients are urged to consider their options and weigh each choice's potential short and long-term effects. These abilities are required to help individuals make better selections because many anxiety-driven activities concern short-term relief. For example, canceling plans could sound alluring for someone who struggles with social anxiety because it would allow them to avoid an uncomfortable scenario. But in the long run, it might result in isolation, depression, and increased social anxiety. A person could prevent making a poor decision in the heat of the moment by using a problem-solving strategy to recognize these implications beforehand. Cognitive activation. People with anxiety often exhibit decreased behavioral and social activity. People may believe that doing less and avoiding difficulties will worsen their anxiety. To decrease the effects of anxiety, therapists will attempt to get the patient out and about, doing things and interacting with others. Relaxation techniques. In the short term, exposure and behavioral activation activities will cause increased levels of anxiety. The impact of anxiety can be lessened and symptoms can be reduced more quickly and effectively by learning and adopting relaxation techniques. Journaling. One common CBT technique is asking clients to record their thoughts, feelings, and actions. The approach can aid the patient in better understanding themselves and their circumstances, but it can also aid the therapist in understanding the patient and their perspective. You can start monitoring your symptoms and figuring out what can be the underlying causes connected to your anxiety symptoms by using anxiety journaling prompts. Although CBT approaches are useful tools, a patient's response to treatment will determine how effective they are. While some CBT approaches and procedures may not help someone's anxiety, other CBT strategies can be quite helpful. The patient and therapist must figure out which approaches are effective for them and which are not. Overcoming depression through CBT. Major depressed mood disorder is another name for clinical depression. It is an important and widespread medical condition that has a detrimental impact on your feelings, actions, and thoughts. In a given 2-week period, 8.1% of Americans aged above 20 reported having depression, according to research. This condition affects people differently and in various ways. It can occasionally have an impact on how you interact with others. In other circumstances, it could interfere with your work, resulting in lower productivity, and it could even cause certain chronic health issues. Once you suffer severe depression, it can initially appear to be a small health condition. Major depressive disorder is a severe condition that can affect every area of your everyday life. It is not a condition you can quickly recover from, like a cold or stomach bug. Many people who suffer from depression mistakenly believe that their symptoms are simply sadness and that they will pass eventually. But for millions of other people, depression is a never-ending burden. Therefore, further assistance and support for those people are crucial. Only 10% of those who experience depression receive the necessary care, according to the WHO, making it the second most common cause of disability worldwide. It is critical to recognize the difference between a bad mood and depression because it is a significant health disorder. This chapter focuses on illustrating the key aspects of depression and describing the most popular form of treatment, CBT. What is depression? As was already established, depression is a serious mood disorder and a medical condition that can significantly impact your thoughts, behavior, and emotions. It results in depressive moods, a loss of interest in formerly enjoyable activities, and several physical and psychological issues. It might also make it harder for a person to function at home and work. Undoubtedly, terrible situations in life might occasionally make you feel depressed. However, you can experience depression if you often feel depressed and hopeless. According to experts, those receiving treatment for depression may start to feel better within a few weeks. However, this condition might worsen if not addressed properly. Thus, a specialist should manage it, just like any significant health issue. Impact of depression on your daily life. As noted, depression can impact all facets of your life, including your relationships, work, education, and general health. It can also disrupt your ability to focus and sleep. Depression doesn't happen by itself. Family, friends, and coworkers may also be impacted. In addition, depression might affect your productivity at work by lowering your level of focus. Doctors advise treating depression since failing to do so can negatively affect your personal and professional life. Some individuals undervalue the significance of psychiatrists. However, finding the best psychiatrist makes a significant impact. How does CBT help with depression? To lessen depression, CBT combines cognitive and behavioral strategies. Therapists may challenge depressive thought patterns that result in inaction or self-harming activities. CBT contends that changing someone's feelings is the most effective approach to influencing behavior later. Cognitive techniques to modify depression-inducing thought patterns. Cognitive approaches help you gradually lessen their hold over you by challenging and rationalizing negative thoughts. You can understand your thought patterns, the emotion or trigger that led to them, and the situation's true reality by using techniques like cognitive restructuring. Then, the therapist could offer a more realistic or sensible perspective to lessen cognitive distortions. You have mind reading, which is a typical cognitive distortion in people with depression when you think you know what other people think. You can develop a more constructive way of thinking and talking to yourself by questioning this and other negative thoughts. Techniques for behaviorally increasing energy and motivation. Depression can be effectively treated using behavioral techniques. Typically, they entail rewarding yourself for small behavioral adjustments. For instance, depression might result in low energy or a lack of motivation. You can change the chemical reactions in your brain by rewarding yourself for doing a task, like putting a few dishes away. A reward increases your likelihood of repeating the behavior in the future. CBT uses several techniques to lessen the power of not acting, such as lowering self-destructive or self-harming behaviors which often accompany depression. 7 common CBT techniques for depression. For depression, common CBT approaches include mindful meditation, thought journaling, and cognitive restructuring. Many of these strategies are combined to demonstrate the relationships between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. 7 typical CBT strategies for depression are listed below. 1. Cognitive restructuring. You become aware of any potential cognitive distortions and unhealthy thought patterns that might escalate depression feelings or suicidal thoughts by challenging your thought patterns, tone, and self-talk. Cognitive restructuring teaches strategies for rationalizing distortions and false ideas, reduces cognitive errors, and helps people develop healthy thought habits. 2. Activity planning. You should reward yourself when you schedule activities that promote self-care and positive respect. By arranging these activities and rewards, you learn to motivate yourself to perform required tasks even when feeling down. It also raises the likelihood that you'll keep up with these tasks once your formal therapy sessions are over. 3. Mental journaling. You can create a space to process, discover potential triggers, and understand how your thoughts have influenced your behavior by writing for mental health and analyzing topics like your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. You can utilize specialized journal prompts for depression to better understand the sources of your beliefs and moods, raising self-awareness and teaching you coping mechanisms to employ moving forward. 4. ABC evaluation. Like journaling, this technique dissects depressive behaviors, such as yelling at people or sleeping all day. You can investigate the consequential actions and hunt for common causes in your depression triggers by examining your triggers and consequences. The ABC model employs the following framework to function. Event activating. Your beliefs regarding the incident. The consequences of the incident, including your reactions and actions after it. 5. Fact-checking. Fact-checking motivates you to examine your beliefs and realize that even though you might be mired in a depressing or detrimental thought pattern, your feelings drive these opinions, such as, "I am a failure." By fact-checking, you might discover which actions you do base on your feelings or beliefs, rather than the truth. 6. Continually approximating or breaking it down. You'll feel less overwhelmed if you divide big tasks into smaller goals. You will be more likely to succeed in your goals and be better equipped to handle challenging activities in the future, even when your depression is at its worst, if you regularly practice successive approximation. 7. Mindful meditation. You can learn to focus less on your negative thoughts and improve your ability to stay in the moment by practicing meditation to treat depression. Meditation can help you become aware of, accepting, and detached from your negative thinking patterns so that you don't let them control you.
I hope you're enjoying my audiobook so far. It would be a pleasure if you could let me know how you're feeling about this audiobook in the comment section below. We would greatly appreciate it if you would also like the video and subscribe to United Audiobooks to have access to more best-selling audiobooks in the future. Also, Please, if you are interested in getting more free audiobooks, please click the first link in the description below. Now, let us carry on with the next chapter.
Mastering Panic Attacks with CBT. A panic attack is a quick bout of great fear that results in significant physical symptoms when there is no immediate danger or obvious reason. Panic attacks can be terrifying. You might believe you are experiencing a heart attack, losing control, or even going to pass away when panic attacks strike. Many individuals only experience 1 or 2 panic attacks throughout their lives, and the issue usually goes away when a stressful circumstance is over. However, if you've experienced continuous, unanticipated panic attacks and have experienced protracted periods of continual anxiety about an attack, you may be suffering from a disorder known as panic disorder. Even if panic attacks don't pose a life-threatening threat, they can nonetheless be terrifying and substantially impact your quality of life. However, treatment is often highly successful. Causes. Although the cause of a panic disorder or panic attacks is unknown, some possible contributing factors include genetics, intense stress, a temperament more prone to negative emotions or sensitivity to stress, and certain alterations in how specific brain regions work. At first, panic attacks may strike unexpectedly and without notice, but particular circumstances typically bring them on over time. According to some studies, panic episodes may result from your body's normal fight or flight reaction to danger. For instance, your body would respond automatically if a grizzly bear pursued you. Your breathing and pulse rate would quicken as your body braced for a potentially fatal circumstance. In a panic attack, many of the same responses take place. However, it is uncertain why a panic attack happens when there is no immediate risk. CBT as a treatment. Helping clients break free from harmful thought patterns to make better decisions about their actions and behaviors is one of the key objectives of CBT. Generally speaking, those with panic disorders are more likely to be subject to negative thoughts and self-defeating attitudes, impairing self-esteem and exacerbating anxiety. Physical and mental symptoms are typically present during panic attacks. Shortness of breath, chest pain, sweating, and heart palpitations are typical somatic symptoms. These sensations are often seen as alarming and can cause upsetting thoughts, such as a fear of losing control, going insane, or dying. Panic attack fears might grow so strong that they harm a person's actions. As an illustration, a person might start to worry about having a panic attack while driving or in front of other people. The person will then refrain from driving or engaging in crowded activities. Such activities bring on a different condition known as agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is when persistently fearful thoughts become ingrained, and avoidance strategies amplify these worries. CBT can help those with agoraphobia or panic disorder learn how to control their symptoms. A person can learn to effectively manage their symptoms even if they cannot control when they have a panic attack. CBT uses a 2-step method to help the client make a long-lasting transformation. The CBT process. Recognize negative thoughts and replace them. The client will initially receive assistance from the CBT therapist in recognizing his negative cognitions or thought patterns. For instance, people might be instructed to consider how they see the world, feel during a panic attack, or perceive themselves. A person might start noticing their regular thought patterns and how they affect their behaviors by concentrating on their mental process. To help the client become conscious of their negative thoughts and know how to replace them with better ways of thinking, the therapist may employ a variety of activities and exercises. In addition, homework activities are often given between sessions to help the client continuously recognize and dispel erroneous thinking. Writing exercises can be a powerful tool for breaking bad thought patterns. These exercises can help you become more conscious of your negative ideas and replace them. Writing in a journal, writing a gratitude journal, saying affirmations, and keeping a panic diary are common CBT writing tasks. Skills development and behavioral adjustments. Building on beneficial coping mechanisms is the next phase in CBT to change maladaptive behaviors. Throughout this phase, the client will acquire strategies to aid in coping with stress reduction, anxiety management, and panic attacks. The client should practice new habits outside of therapy, even though these abilities may be practiced in sessions. Desensitization is a popular CBT method that helps the client overcome avoidance patterns. The CBT therapist gradually exposes the client to anxiety-inducing stimuli through systematic desensitization while instructing him to control his anxiety. Individuals gradually expose themselves to more terrifying scenarios while learning to manage their panic attacks in each dreaded situation. Relaxation techniques are also learned to help maintain composure in situations that cause anxiety. These abilities help with fear management, lowering heart rate, reducing stress, and enhancing problem-solving abilities. Deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR, yoga, and meditation are popular relaxation methods. Building resilience and confidence in the face of panic. If you tend to be more sensitive to emotional suffering, it's critical to avoid seeing your trouble managing hardship or adversity as some sort of character flaw. It takes work to develop resilience over time. It is neither a fixed attribute nor a sign of manliness. It's unlikely that you have required or had the opportunity to develop resilience unless you have previously faced adversity. You can overcome the difficulties you encounter by drawing on earlier experiences. Even if you've had trouble handling hardship, you might at least be able to name a few coping mechanisms that don't work, such as abusing drugs or drinking to dull your emotions. Although seeing positive outcomes from traumatic experiences can be challenging, developing resilience can help you look for advantages in the challenges you've faced. You can acquire important things about yourself and the world by overcoming adversity, fortifying your determination, increasing your empathy, and eventually helping you develop and grow. Acceptance. Even though everyone deals with pressure differently, many try to defend themselves by downplaying the truth of what is happening. By acting like you aren't even experiencing a crisis, you might believe you still have some control over normally unexpected conditions. Denial may occasionally serve a useful purpose, such as providing a chance for you to process the shock of a traumatic incident, but over time, it will only make your suffering worse. You won't be able to adjust to your new situation if you remain in denial. It will also prohibit you from seeking alternatives or taking action, inhibiting healing. Speak to other people. Connecting with friends and family through difficult times can help you minimize stress, enhance your mood, and make sense of all the disruption and change. Having somebody to lean on can give you strength and resilience so you don't have to face your challenges alone. You don't need the people you seek out to have solutions to your problems. All they need to do is be willing to hear you out without passing judgment. It doesn't always matter what you say or how you say it. The power of human interaction, such as eye contact, a smile, or a hug, can significantly change how you feel. Invest in self-care. Living through difficult circumstances can be physically and mentally exhausting. Stress can significantly negatively influence your immune and digestive systems, increase your risk of stroke and heart attack, and cause burnout, a condition of emotional, physical, and mental tiredness. Constantly being under stress can also have serious negative effects on your health. Given the interdependence of the body and mind, self-care spending is crucial for fostering resilience and surviving periods of extreme stress. Your mind will also feel powerful and healthy when your body does. Seek purpose and significance. It's easy to become consumed by your current crisis or overtaken by horrifying headlines. However, no matter your situation, it must not define who you are. The crisis doesn't define you. You may put your issues in perspective, stop them from overwhelming you, and keep your identity by pursuing activities that offer your life meaning and purpose. Because we are all unique, we experience meaning and purpose differently. Don't let others' expectations of you limit your ability. Instead, go after the things that will make your life more fulfilling. Maintain your drive. Fostering traits like perseverance and endurance is crucial to overcoming adversity and difficult situations. Although difficult times don't stay forever, they rarely end fast due to their very nature. You must develop strategies to maintain inspiration and perseverance while you map a path through the darkness. Boosting emotional intelligence through CBT. Your performance is fueled by emotional intelligence at work and in your personal life, but it all starts with you. Understanding and controlling your emotions can help you succeed in all aspects of your life, from self-confidence, empathy, and optimism to social skills and self-control. Realizing how successful you are at managing your emotional energy is a terrific place to start, regardless of your professional industry, whether you manage a staff of 2 or 20, or even yourself. Since emotional intelligence isn't covered in the curriculum and isn't something we are taught or tested on, where did it originate from? What is it? Do you have it? And how significant is it? Thankfully, it is something you can acquire, and we have put together a thorough list of tips to help you explore your degree of emotional intelligence and acquire critical emotional intelligence skills that can be used in daily life. Some of these tips are something we do, while others have been shared with us by our wonderful clients and partners who are masters at inspiring and motivating their teams and themselves. Emotional intelligence. Simply put, emotional intelligence refers to a person's capacity to recognize, control, and respond to their emotions and those of others. Understanding how emotions influence your thoughts and behavior will help you better control your behavior and acquire the necessary self-management skills. We can develop and learn more about who we are as a result of becoming more emotionally aware, which makes it possible for us to interact with others more effectively and forge stronger bonds with them. We advise beginning with these first 8 suggestions, since they serve as a fantastic springboard for learning the principles underlying your emotional intelligence. Practice being aware of your emotions. We often lead busy, frantic lives, making losing sight of our emotions too easy. Try setting timers for various points during the day to help you reconnect. When the timer rings, take a few deep breaths and focus on your emotional state. Pay attention to where in your body that emotion manifests as a physical sensation and how it makes you feel. It will become second nature more quickly the more you practice. Pay attention to your actions. Consider paying attention to your behavior while you practice emotional awareness. Consider how you behave and how your actions impact your daily life when feeling a particular emotion. Once we become more aware of how we respond to our emotions, controlling our emotions becomes easier. Examine your own beliefs. It is easy to become caught up in an opinion bubble in today's hyper-connected environment. In this condition, individuals who share your beliefs constantly reinforce your own beliefs. Spend some time reading the opposing viewpoint to have your beliefs tested, even if you still believe they are correct. This will make it easier for you to understand other individuals and make you more open to fresh ideas. Accept accountability for your emotions. Your emotions and behavior are your responsibility. No one can control them. Once you take ownership of your feelings and actions, it will benefit every aspect of your life. Spend some time celebrating the good. Celebrating and thinking about the good things in life is an important aspect of emotional intelligence. Positive emotions help people overcome misfortune, making them more resilient and inclined to form satisfying relationships. However, take note of the drawbacks. Just as important as focusing on pleasant emotions is reflecting on negative ones. Understanding your unpleasant emotions will help you grow, making you more equipped to handle them in the future. Remember to breathe. Life presents us with a variety of challenges, and the majority of us routinely feel stressed out. Remember to breathe to control your emotions during this time and prevent irrational outbursts. Call a time out and do something to keep your calm, like wash your face with cold water, get some fresh air outside, or make a drink. Do whatever it takes to give yourself space to collect your thoughts and decide how to react. A continuous process. Recognize and remember that developing emotional intelligence is a lifelong exercise that calls for constant progress. Self-awareness. Self-awareness, a crucial facet of emotional intelligence, is recognizing and understanding your personality, moods, and feelings and their impact on others. It involves being honest with yourself about your abilities, strengths, and flaws, and understanding how others see you. It can make you more adaptable, help you identify areas for improvement, and help you avoid making bad decisions. Below are tips to help you become more self-aware. Learn to be objective with yourself. It's challenging to understand yourself fully, and it's nearly impossible to view yourself objectively. Therefore, feedback from individuals who are familiar with you is essential. Ask them to list your weaknesses and strengths, record their responses, and then compare them. Keep an eye out for any trends, and remember that they are not always correct. They are merely attempting to help you evaluate your perspective from another's point of view. Keep a journal. Keeping a journal is an excellent approach to assessing your progress accurately. Start by jotting down each day's events, your reactions, and how you handled them. By logging information like this, you can become more conscious of your actions and identify potential trouble spots. Take a periodic glance back over your remarks to spot any trends. Recognize your motivating factors. Everybody starts a project with a primary motivation. The challenge is to remember this motivating factor when hardship arises. Too often, people begin a project but never finish it because they lose the will to do so. Spend some time figuring out what drives you. Then use that to propel you to the finish line. Take it easy. We sometimes experience emotional outbursts because we don't take the time to stop, breathe, and process our feelings. Giving yourself a break and trying to meditate, practice yoga, or read will help you feel better. Then, the next time you experience an emotional response to something, try to hold your reaction. Recognize your emotional triggering factors. Self-aware people can identify their feelings while they are happening. It's crucial to be adaptable to your emotions and change them as necessary. Take the time to process your feelings before sharing them. Don't be strict with them, but don't ignore them. Predict your feelings. Consider a circumstance you may soon be in and project your feelings toward it. Practice naming and accepting your emotions. Doing so gives you control. Instead of simply reacting to the feeling, try to find an acceptable response. Embrace your instincts. Trust your gut if you're still unsure which direction to go. After all, your subconscious has been figuring out which course to choose during your existence. Self-management. You can master self-management if you have a handle on self-awareness and how your emotions work. It entails accountability for your actions, well-being, and emotional restraint. Below are a few tips for self-management. Just get over it. Changing your sensory input is an important strategy for controlling your emotions. As the adage goes, motion determines emotion. Therefore, shake up your physical body by attending an exercise class, or try focusing a busy mind with a puzzle or book. Anything to break your current pattern. Keep a schedule and follow it. If you want to perform tasks successfully, you must make a schedule and follow it. Eat healthfully. Although it may seem easy, eating and drinking in moderation can significantly impact your mental state. So make every effort to keep a balanced diet. Don't be angry. Put your emotional vigor to use by doing something constructive. It's acceptable to suppress intense feelings, especially if the timing isn't right. When you do, channel it into motivation rather than letting it out on something pointless. Don't be angry, be better. Take an interest. Consciously engaging in the topic, whether business or personal, is crucial in regulating yourself and your emotions. If you can't trust them, don't expect them to trust you. It can be hard to build trust with someone. Once it's lost, it's quite challenging to win it again. Try to keep in mind that humans are fallible and will make mistakes. By extending your trust, you are urging others to do the same. You have an option. You can decide whether to overreact or maintain composure in a given circumstance. But you get to decide. Role of CBT in the enhancement of emotional intelligence. The ability to recognize and effectively use one's own and others' emotions, particularly while under pressure, is known as emotional intelligence. Therefore, great emotional intelligence would enable us to react to a crisis more effectively. Additionally, having strong emotional intelligence helps us recognize how our emotions affect how we behave and how they can affect how others behave. To succeed, we must develop this unique skill in addition to our innate intelligence, as required by today's competitive environment. The question now is whether training can help this skill grow. In contrast to intelligence, this feature can be acquired and employed to regulate and handle life's challenges effectively. Hence, the answer is a resounding yes. CBT is beneficial in situations when changing one's thoughts has a significant impact on emotional control. When presented with a situation, we evaluate it and try to make sense of it, resulting in emotions. We naturally differ from one another in analyzing and judging a specific circumstance. It is difficult to solve because of the situation's cognitive appraisal rather than the actual circumstance. At the weekend, the boss offered some extra tasks. The circumstance could be seen as the boss's attempt to harass him. Naturally, this makes people angry and resentful. At the same time, another person views it as a chance to shine. He would feel a certain enthusiasm. This individual variation in cognitive evaluation is mostly influenced by the schema that a person adheres to. The schema is created based on the individual's convictions, life experiences, and ingrained cultural elements. To help the person build an emotionally intelligent schema, CBT helps review the schema, identifying and removing its problematic elements. Tackling intrusive thoughts with CBT. Have you ever had a persistent, unwelcome thought or image? In most cases, you can disregard it and continue, but occasionally, it simply keeps reappearing. You don't want to be thinking about these clingy, uneasy things. Why do they then occur to you? Most people occasionally experience what are known as intrusive thoughts. Insane and violent thoughts and incredible pictures can be present, such as hitting someone in the face or hurting oneself. They often pose no threat, but if your obsession with them disrupts your daily life, this may indicate a deeper mental health issue. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, depression, or anxiety can all manifest as intrusive thoughts. What are intrusive thoughts? Unwanted or intrusive thoughts can appear at any time and without prior notice. They can be unsettling or frightening because they are often recurrent and involve the same type of thought. Although they can occur in anyone, intrusive thoughts are particularly common among those experiencing signs of anxiety or depression. Despite being benign in and of themselves, they sometimes harm our behavior and quality of life. Unwanted thoughts might appear as images, noises, and even verbal remarks. Types of intrusive thoughts. Multiple guises of intrusive thoughts are possible. Some of them are as follows. Sexual thoughts. No matter your gender, having frequent sexual thoughts is normal. You could become fixated on such thoughts and make a lot of effort to push them away if you feel uncomfortable with or shocked by them. It's preferable, according to experts, to keep in mind that these are merely fleeting, intuitive thoughts. They in no way define who you are. Violent thoughts. Dark or violent thoughts, like hurting yourself or another person, may be present in your thoughts. Often, they are merely harmless, recurring thoughts that you don't intend to act upon. Even having them in your brain is undesirable. They'll also go away with time. However, you need support from a specialist to control your emotions if you find yourself preparing to act out your angry impulses. Speak with a physician or a therapist. Negative thoughts. You can consider yourself a loser or feel unworthy occasionally when things don't go as planned. As things change for you, these thoughts need to disappear. However, if they overwhelm you, you might experience depression or anxiety. Consult a mental health expert for advice on how to manage your symptoms. Additional forms of intrusive thoughts. Additionally, you may experience junk thoughts that are peculiar, strange, or paranoid. They are beyond your control and often mean nothing to you or have no bearing on your life. It's best to ignore them and try not to take them personally. Talk to your doctor to rule out a mental problem if they persist for a long period or if you continue to experience episodes of them. Challenging and reframing negative thought patterns. It's normal to feel gloomy if your mind is racing with bad thoughts. You can take steps to improve the situation, even if it won't be easy to tune out the bad sounds. Overcoming the inner voice. Self-talk is difficult because it always feels true, even when biased or untrue. Self-talk is your inner voice. You probably have a downward spiraling self-talk if you're having negative thoughts. It could take time and practice to become adept at challenging this mood, but the effort is worthwhile. Once you track how often you hear the negativity, you'll be startled to realize how much of your thinking is directed toward a pessimistic view. Practice. Use the awareness that you are being critical of yourself, undervaluing your abilities, or lacking confidence as a cue to pause and examine your behavior. Does what your inner voice is saying match reality? If you feel unworthy when you get up, think again about your value and the people who place value on it. Consider your friends, family, coworkers, and teachers as examples of individuals who appreciate you and what you offer. Put it in writing. When you're feeling low, writing out your thoughts can be beneficial. Finding a strategy that works for you is the key. Whether that means recording them on your phone, writing them down in a journal, or setting aside 10 minutes before night to check in with yourself, it resembles moving thoughts from your head to a journal in several ways. Try to organize your thoughts into these 3 categories when taking notes. What is the circumstance? What am I telling myself or thinking? On a scale of 1 to 10, how depressed or nervous am I? These are some typical difficulties people encounter while trying to write down their thoughts if they've never done it before. I'm just nervous or depressed. I don't have any thoughts. Even if you're not sure why you're feeling worried at the time, writing down, "I'm not sure exactly what I'm thinking right now," can be helpful. Does it have anything to do with XYZ? The act of writing things down might occasionally help in thought clarification. When I put my thoughts in writing, they seem strange. You could still feel strange or stupid about it, even if you know that no one else will read your writing. This response is very normal and indicates that you're gaining some understanding simply by putting your thoughts on paper. You can only combat negative thinking when you are completely mindful of your thoughts and aware of what you can influence. I don't have the time. Despite how tedious it may feel initially, you don't have to write down everything you're thinking. Decide on a time to start when you're feeling somewhat worried or when you've begun to experience some bodily symptoms. Set aside 10 minutes each day to jot down your concerns. Playing hardball. After you've finished writing your thoughts down, it's a good idea to assess their validity by posing some difficult questions to yourself. There are 4 primary categories of difficult questions. 1. Questions that serve as a reality check. What is the supporting and opposing evidence for my position? Am I drawing unwarranted negative inferences? How can I determine whether what I'm thinking is true? 2. Alternative explanation-seeking questions. Are there any alternative perspectives I might have on this matter? What else might this indicate? What would I think about the scenario if I were to think positively? 3. Perspective-shifting questions. What would be the ideal scenario? Is there any positive aspect to this circumstance? Will this still be relevant in 5 years? 4. Questions with a specific objective. Does this way of thinking help me in achieving my objectives? What can I do to aid in the problem's resolution? Can I take away anything from this experience to improve my future efforts? Discuss it. We all experience negative thoughts occasionally, but knowing you can always overcome your self-doubt is critical if you feel like you can't get out of your slump. Developing the skill of confronting your conversation will pay off greatly because no unpleasant path is ever permanent. Using CBT strategies to break free of intrusive thoughts. Are you hard on yourself all the time? Do you punish yourself for small mistakes and stay up at night worrying about excessive losses and their effects? Are you, in other words, your own harshest critic? Your inner voice, which is tainted with negative self-talk due to the hardships you face every day, may start to rule your life. It can gradually make you think angry and hurtful thoughts, finally leading you to doubt your skills, qualities, and sense of self. This psychological negativity can greatly restrict and hinder your regular activities and eventually cause emotional and mental harm. We have 4 steps to help you silence that pessimistic voice and help build yourself up to help you combat that negative inner dialogue. Here's what to do if your inner critic rears its ugly head again. Get acquainted with your most critical inner dialogue first. Recognizing any internal criticism is the first step in overcoming it. Asking yourself the origin of your inner critic and why it is acting out at this time might be a good place to start. You might gain some understanding of why you are being so hard on yourself if you consider your family background, life events, and recent stressors. You may acknowledge criticism if you take the time to stop and figure out where it is coming from. You can also become more aware of the situations you place yourself in. Feel free to employ various coping mechanisms to boost your mood after understanding what might happen. Writing down what was happening or what prompted those thoughts is an excellent activity to perform each time those pessimistic thoughts or voices enter your head. Use your feelings as a guide to understand your life's events fully. Think of your inner critic as a human being. Name the thing. Creating a name for something you vehemently detest can be useful. What I mean is to dispute with your inner critic. You can represent yourself by calling the critic to the witness. Consider whether you have any supporting evidence for these self-critical views using cognitive restructuring, as described by cognitive behavioral therapists. Check your negative thoughts to see if they are accurate. One tactic is acknowledging that self-critical thought is merely beliefs, not facts, and can thus be contested. Consider yourself a lawyer, scientist, or detective, and ask yourself whether other interpretations of yourself or your behavior are more correct. This will help you put your stream of negative thoughts on the stand. Then, get rid of critical thinking and replace it with something more impartial, accurate, and balanced. You can regain the courage to confront your inner critic head-on when you give yourself the time and patience to investigate negative thoughts and consider their veracity. Confront unnecessary negative thoughts. The greatest method to eliminate your inner critical voice's influence is to confront it head-on. Banish it when you've acknowledged it and given it some time. This can be accomplished with a gentle, calm touch rather than harsher thoughts or ideas. Be curious as you observe these critical thoughts and refrain from attempting to change or suppress them. Each self-critical thought should be placed in a box and moved along a conveyor belt. Alternatively, visualize each thought as a leaf falling into a stream or a cloud moving through the sky. You can reclaim your power and shape your life into what you want it to be by politely and respectfully resisting these negative beliefs. Replace the thought with self-compassion. The most effective technique to deal with a critical inner voice is to switch it out for a positive one. This voice should start to support you and speak up for all the good things in your life. Whatever your prior inner voice may have told you, you have a lot to contribute, and this new voice should emphasize that. Practice is the key to rewiring your brain to recognize your new voice. The most crucial step is to try a coping mechanism, even briefly. Working with a therapist can facilitate learning what coping methods work for you. Knowing that there is a specific thing you can try can make you feel better. Although self-criticism is fairly prevalent, it does not need to continue. Even better, you could discover that you don't feel sorry for yourself for very long. Instead of focusing on your weaknesses, channeling negative energy into a more positive discourse will help you see your strengths more clearly and provide room for growth. Rewiring your brain with CBT. What if your brain could be rewired to affect how your body functions? Even though it may sound futuristic, scientists worldwide are making important strides in understanding how the brain and body interact. You can boost your mood, develop healthy habits, and even lessen the symptoms of chronic illness by dedicating only a few minutes each day to your mental well-being. We still have a lot to discover regarding how to rewire your brain, but there is compelling evidence that neuroplasticity is the future of medicine, and it might even be completely free. What is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity describes the brain's capacity to rearrange information and adjust to various situations. The term neuro describes the neural connections in your brain that help you adapt to your environment and foresee potential problems. In contrast, brain plasticity refers to your ability to alter and disrupt such pathways in response to positive and unfavorable experiences. For instance, trauma, with a capital or small t, significantly affects how your brain works. Even in situations where your body is safe, trauma can significantly alter your neural pathways and cause your brain to activate the fight or flight response. Similar to how positive reinforcement and joyful meditation can change your brain's physical makeup and build trauma-free new neural pathways. What is the limbic system? Neuroplasticity depends heavily on the limbic system. It houses the hippocampus, hypothalamus, and amygdala, all involved in memory, emotions, and stress management. Even though memory isn't on your mind right now, the limbic system still saves it and uses it as a reference point when making decisions in the future. The limbic system may go into overdrive and start the fight or flight reaction when you are subjected to physical or environmental trauma to protect yourself. Therefore, relaxing the limbic system and signaling to your brain that you are safe are often involved in rewiring particular cognitive patterns or trigger reactions. Real-life examples of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is especially pertinent given how quickly society and technology are evolving. Although we may have changed on the outside by learning to type, use the internet, and hold down a job in an office, our brains are still very much wired for survival in a pre-modern world. For example, giving a difficult presentation at work is not life-threatening. But you still can't tell since your brain hasn't changed to do it. Instead, your anxiety turns on full throttle fight or flight, directing your energy into the presentation. This would greatly assist if you needed food or were pursued by a bear. However, these coping methods often do more harm than good in today's contemporary society. As our brains adjust to this new way of life, it is common to react with high levels of stress to quite low stress events. The good news is that you already possess all you need to control your limbic system, employ neuroplasticity to reorganize your brain, and eliminate undesired discomfort sensations. Brain fog, chronic stress, anxiety, depression, bad habits, chronic fatigue, unexplained symptoms, hormonal imbalances, long COVID, chronic inflammation, or unexplained food sensitivities may be signs that it's time to rewire your brain. How cognitive behavioral therapy promotes neuroplasticity. So, how can CBT and neuroplasticity change the composition and functionality of your brain? The CBT steps bring about these improvements through consistent practice. Your brain adapts to new thoughts and actions as you adopt new ways of thinking and doing. Here are the objectives of CBT and how it works. Goals of cognitive behavioral therapy. It would be good if you could change the situation to make life less difficult. That is occasionally possible, at least in part. Most likely, though, you cannot change many things in your life. You should instead practice taking charge of your thoughts regarding those things. You can, therefore, more readily choose behaviors that will improve your life if you have more beneficial mind patterns. Thanks to neuroplasticity and cognitive behavioral therapy, your mood and anxiety can improve during this change. Simply put, one could state that the objectives of CBT are to help you pursue your objectives, become actively involved in daily life, and engage in enjoyable activities. CBT Basics. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a more disciplined type of therapy. Instead of the years needed for many other forms of therapy, the average duration of treatment is only a few weeks or months. CBT is predicated on a few key concepts. First, it makes the supposition that negative thoughts are a contributing factor to psychological problems. Second, it acknowledges that the problematic behavioral patterns you pick up can also lead to psychological issues. Finally, if you develop more efficient coping mechanisms for these issues, your symptoms will lessen, and you will be more successful in leading your desired life. Changing thoughts in CBT. Your psychotherapist can show you how to change your thinking if you use CBT. You first develop the ability to identify the thoughts that influence your perceptions and the behaviors you select. You next assess those thoughts to see if any cognitive distortions are making it more challenging for you to manage your life. Once you become aware of these mistakes, you can choose more correct and beneficial thoughts. CBT also entails studying and using problem-solving techniques. To better understand your surroundings, you can take some time to reflect on the actions and motives of others. As you modify your thinking, you gain confidence in yourself and your abilities. Cognitive behavioral therapy and neuroplasticity work together to build new neural connections in your brain as you learn more about more beneficial ways of thinking. Changing behaviors in CBT. You can directly change your behaviors with the help of your CBT therapist. They could help you confront your worries rather than run from them. This may entail discussing your fears with others or physically visiting a place that gives you anxiety. You and your therapist can devise plans for changing the habits that maintain you in emotional distress. CBT tools for changing behavior include role-playing, learning and using mindfulness practices, exposure therapy, journaling, and practicing coping mechanisms. You discover things that will change your way of thinking and acting through a brief period of treatment and at-home practice. As you start thinking and acting in ways that are more conducive to achieving your life's objectives, your brain starts to change. Combining cognitive behavioral therapy and neuroplasticity will pleasantly affect your life, making you feel calmer, more at ease, and more content. Implementing CBT in daily life. CBT is one of the most effective treatment techniques for those recovering from addiction, alcoholism, and other mental conditions. created in the 1960s by Aaron Beck, a psychiatrist. Since its inception, CBT has grown enormously in popularity due to its success in treating various problems. Suppose you type CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, into a search engine today. In that case, you'll be presented with many news stories referencing recent research studies demonstrating that CBT offers significant relief and recovery for everything from cancer to chronic pain, trauma to diabetes, and much more. By incorporating explicit action, CBT goes beyond conventional talk therapy and is goal-oriented and application-driven. Instead of looking for a problem, CBT helps identify problematic behaviors and the pre-programmed cognitive patterns that have permitted these actions for a long time. People can become free to choose how they behave by focusing on and eradicating certain mental patterns. CBT is used by the majority of treatment programs around the world to treat addiction, alcoholism, and mental disease. CBT applications are briefly compared to traditional talk therapy since they are goal-focused. CBT can revolutionize therapy during the few weeks to months when a patient receives it. The abilities developed via CBT work in therapy are extremely transferable to use outside therapy, making CBT skills priceless. Over the past 50 years, several studies, workbooks, exercises, and CBT procedures have been established. Here are some examples of practical applications for CBT. Jump-starting your daily routine. It is obvious that staying put has changed how we shall live forever as a civilization. The tension and anxiety you experienced during the sudden switch to staying in may have a lasting impact on your life. Coping can feel tough, whether you are trying to find a way to pass the time while unemployed, educating your child, or working from home. Making a routine is a good first step to revitalize your life. Scheduling activities can act as a spark to kickstart healthy coping during times of change when depression and anxiety may become overpowering. Here is a helpful cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, technique to increase self-awareness, mood, and mental wellness. Pleasurable activities, achievements, and tasks that overcome avoidance are 3 activities that improve mood. These activities can be included in a dynamic schedule to help you change your motivation. Let's examine each of the 3 categories in more detail. 1. The things we look forward to performing are within the list of pleasurable activities. Asking yourself, what makes me feel good, can help you determine what counts as this for you. 2. Achievements are the daily tasks that must be completed. This includes simple actions like taking a shower or getting dressed, and more difficult ones like preparing a meal or working on a project. To begin, try asking yourself what is meaningful to you. If one of your values is looking your best, for instance, washing and ironing your laundry at the start of the week might reinforce this value. 3. Overcoming avoidance is the 3rd category and the hardest to finish because it contains all the actions you least enjoy. Due to their difficulty or the possibility of uncomfortable emotions, these tasks are typically avoided. Simply scheduling and finishing one can improve your mood and give you the confidence to go on to the next item on your list. Because the fear of missing out on the moment, avoiding the massive pile of mail that has been building up for months can be done in little increments. This enormous task can be made more doable by splitting it down. One method to break down this large task is to arrange the mail by date, then by priority, trash versus bills, and eventually open a few pieces each day. Meditating, keeping a journal, and reflecting carefully, you can figure out which activities go well together to lift your mood. Planning a day that makes you feel the most satisfied requires paying close attention to how you feel before and after completing each task. Setting realistic goals and tracking progress. In cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, goals are crucial because they provide patients with direction, drive, and purpose while working through their issues. Setting attainable goals can help clients make genuine progress and increase their self-efficacy. In this section, we'll look at the CBT goal-setting principles and discuss how to develop and reach goals that will result in long-term transformation. Recognizing the value of goals in CBT. The core of CBT is goals, which direct the therapeutic process and choose the precise interventions and approaches. Clients and therapists should set clear, well-defined goals to maintain focus and maximize their time together in treatment. Promoting a sense of ownership and agency is one of the main advantages of goal setting in CBT. Clients are more likely to feel invested in their therapy and take ownership of their success if they actively participate in goal setting. Furthermore, defining and completing goals can be a strong motivator. Clients are more likely to feel motivated and inspired to stick with therapy and maintain their improvements as they work toward their goals and see their success. The SMART approach for CBT goal setting. The SMART approach is a popular framework for defining practical goals in CBT. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Clients are more likely to find success and happiness in therapy if goals are made to satisfy these standards. Specific goals are those clear, well-defined, and targeted at a particular problem or behavior. For instance, instead of choosing a general goal like reduce anxiety, a more focused goal may be learn 3 relaxation techniques to manage anxiety during presentations. Goals that can be measured can be quantified, making it easier to monitor progress and decide whether a goal has been reached. A measurable goal, such as practice deep breathing for 5 minutes each day, enables customers to track their development. Realistic and doable goals are ones that the client can reach. Setting ambitious goals is important, but they should also be feasible, given the client's current resources, limitations, and circumstances. Relevant goals align with the client's values, priorities, and long-term goals. Clients are more likely to feel inspired and dedicated to attaining goals if they are made to have personal significance and to be linked to their larger life vision. Finally, time-bound goals have a set deadline. This feeling of urgency motivates clients to take action and make steady progress toward their goals. Monitoring and modifying CBT goals. Regular goal reviews and adjustments are crucial during therapy. Goals are continuously evaluated to ensure they are still relevant, challenging, and reachable, promoting a sense of advancement and success. Worksheets, notebooks, or tracking applications are tools for tracking progress. With the help of these tools, clients can keep track of their feelings, actions, and thoughts, which can be extremely helpful for tracking their progress toward their goals. Additionally, clients and therapists must communicate honestly and openly about the status of their goals. Any obstacles or difficulties can be identified through this cooperative discourse, allowing for any necessary modifications. Finally, it's critical to recognize and celebrate accomplishments of all sizes. Clients can increase their sense of self-efficacy, encouraging them to continue working toward their goals by recognizing and rewarding progress. Maintaining long-term mental well-being with CBT. It's critical to go forward incrementally when making changes in your life. One of the most effective types of psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, has been demonstrated to be helpful for various mental health concerns, including anxiety, depression, addiction, and eating disorders. The best 8 CBT techniques for enhancing mental health are listed below. Some are more detailed than others, but each is beneficial in some way, depending on your circumstance. Keep the present in mind. Focusing on the present is among the most crucial components of CBT. We cannot change the past. There is no way to predict the future. Why do we worry about things we have no control over? Instead, concentrate on the present and how to improve your position. Consider the emotions you desire. We all want to feel joyful, healthy, and balanced regarding our mental health. Although no single treatment works for everyone, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a fantastic alternative for many people. CBT is a form of therapy that concentrates on helping you in changing negative thought patterns and actions to enhance your general mental wellness. Act as if. Remembering that we have power over our thoughts and behaviors when trying to improve our mental health is crucial. Being the person we aspire to be can be aided by acting as though we already are that person. Pretending to be self-confident, content, and successful might help us begin to believe it and turn it into reality. Play to your advantage. Finding the CBT approaches that work best for you is crucial because everyone has different strengths. Ask for assistance from others. It's crucial to look for help from others regarding mental health. This might be counseling, medication, or a simple conversation with a friend. Avoid trying to navigate it by yourself at any cost. Move forward gradually. It's critical to go forward incrementally when making improvements in your life. Too many things at once can become overwhelming and demotivating. Set small, doable goals in one area of your life that you'd like to improve. If you want to enhance your nutrition, include one nutritious food in your daily meals. Approach things with an open mind. Our daily routines might make it easier for us to forget to be simple. However, going into situations with an open mind can benefit your mental health. You're allowing yourself to develop and learn in ways you never imagined by being open to new experiences. Who knows? You could even enjoy yourself a little along the road. Discover something new. Although it can be easy to fall into destructive thought patterns, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT strategies can help end the cycle. Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, meditation, and the development of mindfulness, a present-focused, non-judgmental attitude, are all components of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT. Therapists Zindel Segal, Mark Williams, and John Teasdale created MBCT to advance cognitive therapy. They believed that therapy could be more successful if cognitive therapy were combined with the mindfulness-based stress reduction MBSR technique created by John Kabat-Zinn in 1979. The methods, applications, and advantages of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy are covered in this chapter. It also discusses the effectiveness of this strategy and other points to consider before implementing a CBT mindfulness strategy. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy techniques. By utilizing techniques like mindfulness meditation to train people to deliberately pay attention to their thoughts and feelings without passing judgment on them, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy expands on the concepts of cognitive therapy. Various mindfulness methods and exercises are used as a component of MBCT. A few of these are meditation. A person can become more aware of their body, thoughts, and respiration through self or guided meditation. Body scan exercise involves lying down and carefully examining various body areas. A person typically begins from the bottom of their body and ascends through it until they reach the top of their head. Mindfulness techniques. Increasing one's present moment awareness is a component of mindfulness. People can practice it while meditating and work these exercises into daily routines. Mindfulness stretching. Mindfulness-based stretching encourages the body and mind to become more conscious of one another. Yoga. MBCT may inspire participants to engage in specific yoga postures, promoting mindful body stretching. The 3-minute breathing space approach, which focuses on 3 phases, each lasting a minute, may be taught to people. These steps are observing your experience. How are you doing right now? Focusing on your breath, and attending to your body and physical sensations. Sitting with thoughts, sitting with sounds, and walking and sitting meditations are other CBT mindfulness strategies. Areas in which CBT mindfulness can help. Numerous episodes of depression can be treated successfully using mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, according to research. Although it was first designed to treat depression, studies have shown that it is also useful for treating other conditions, such as anxiety disorders, bipolar disorder, depression linked to medical conditions, low mood, unhappiness, and treatment-resistant depression. Benefits of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy's basic tenet is that incorrect self-beliefs cause unpleasant feelings like depression, and that thoughts come before moods. MBCT uses cognitive therapy techniques to help you identify and re-evaluate your negative thought patterns and replace them with more realistically optimistic ones. This method enables people to reflect on their thoughts without being preoccupied with what may have been or might happen. MBCT promotes mental clarity and giving you the tools to let go of negative thoughts more readily than allowing them to feed your despair. Like cognitive therapy, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is founded on the idea that when you experience stress and have a history of depression, you are likely to revert to the automatic cognitive processes that, in the past, have caused a depressive episode. What makes MBCT so powerful is the union of mindfulness and cognitive therapy. While cognitive therapy teaches you to interrupt habitual thought processes and deal with emotions healthily, mindfulness helps you observe and identify your feelings. Effectiveness of mindfulness CBT. The main objective of MBCT is to teach chronically depressed individuals how to prevent relapses by refraining from those automatic cognitive processes that exacerbate and perpetuate depression. According to research, mindfulness-based cognitive treatment was just as effective at preventing the return of depression as maintenance antidepressant medication. Regardless of a person's sex, age, education level, or marital situation, MBCT has been proven to reduce the chance of relapse by over 50% on average for those who suffer from recurrent depression. Additionally, studies have demonstrated that mindfulness-based cognitive therapy can help lessen cravings for addictive substances and reduce the intensity of depressive symptoms. Additionally, studies suggest that MBCT may be a safe and efficient way to treat patients who are depressed right now. Things to think about. There is still much to learn about how effective mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is for treating active or severe depression. Discussing your symptoms with your doctor is crucial to determine if this course of action is appropriate for you. Although the MBCT's classroom or group component is crucial, much work is completed outside class. The homework assignments include listening to recorded guided meditations and practicing mindfulness daily. This may entail incorporating mindfulness into routine tasks like making your bed, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, doing the dishes, or exercising by using CBT mindfulness techniques, such as choosing to follow what works over second-guessing yourself, concentrating in the present without being distracted by other thoughts or occurrences, taking part without feeling embarrassed, being acutely aware of everything that is happening around you, and assuming a neutral position. Even though mindfulness-based cognitive therapy involves a lot of self-directed effort, proponents emphasize that the classes are crucial to the program's effectiveness. However, finding programs may be difficult depending on the availability of certified MBCT therapists in your area. What to do first? The group intervention for the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy program lasts for 8 weeks. After the 5th week, there is 1 day-long lesson and the weekly 2-hour course that takes place over those 8 weeks. There isn't always a well-established global network of educators or a single directory where you may look for a local program. If you want an MBCT therapist, speak to your doctor or look in an internet therapist directory. Even mental health providers who are not specifically educated in MBCT may use some components of CBT and mindfulness practices in their therapy sessions, because mindfulness has grown in popularity for its capacity to boost mental wellness. Conclusion. CBT is a commitment that requires effort from you to succeed. You will be forming a relationship with a therapist, and it will be up to you how you use their advice to your advantage. The following actions will benefit you most. Complete all prescribed sessions with your therapist and any assigned homework, graded tasks, or activity planning activities. Inform your therapist about your feelings in an open manner. This includes communicating with your therapist if you think the therapy isn't helping you or isn't a good fit for you. To proceed, you should feel at ease and get along well with your therapist. You can select from various therapists and therapies suited to your needs. You must be prepared and eager to change. CBT is not a magic bullet, but it can be beneficial if you put in the required time and effort. Knowing that you can change your life is one of the most important results of CBT. CBT can help you see that other people or external circumstances do not cause your issues, but are often the result of your thoughts and actions. You can change your thinking to change your feelings and behaviors. If you stop thinking in black and white, all or nothing terms, you can broaden your horizons and adopt a more all-encompassing world perspective. These adjustments can help you achieve greater life fulfillment while supporting the work you put forth in treatment.
We appreciate you tuning in to one of our captivating audiobooks. For more immersive experiences, here is another audiobook we're certain you'll enjoy. Don't forget to show your support by liking this video, sharing what you loved about this audiobook in the comments section below, and subscribing for more captivating audiobooks like this. Thanks for being a part of our audiobook community.